Merry Christmas, everyone. So I had a live stream before, but I kind of forgot that my live streams via my phone are choppy. I do plan on doing a capture card in the future to alleviate that, but until now, I want to show off some Polymega, uh, specifically some of the stuff that Retro Tuna wanted to go ahead and see. But I'm gonna dive into some other things too. I want to get into like Christmas nights and stuff like that because I've actually never played Christmas nights on Christmas Day, so I feel like that's an opportunity. You know what? Fuck it. In fact, let's just start with that. We got the proper BIOS here. This is an American copy of the game, so obviously it's going to have the American Saturn one. I have the Japanese BIOS on here as well for Saturn. Okay. I wonder if it actually even acknowledges that it's Christmas. I mean, besides the clock that says it's Christmas. Like, do I get extra shit? I'm not entirely sure. There's also one of those weird games that, like, I love to death. Nights specifically, not Christmas nights. Um, but I'm not like the best at. I'm not the best at platformers. But this one's aesthetic always spoke to me. This is one of those games that definitely made me want to have a Sega Saturn back in the day. That's for sure. I'm not entirely sure how you're scored in this game. I know going through the rings and collecting the bells and the balls is all very important. And I know that like I'm pretty sure that killing certain enemies by grabbing them and shit helps. But like I don't know if that's a C. And it's like how the hell do I determine that between a B and a C? I don't know. Doesn't really feel like any of this game makes any sense. I just like being in the world. If that makes any sense. Like this is cool. A little waterfall. There's a little dude over there. It's a little gas cloud that I just killed. I don't know why he's here in Christmas land. I'm terrible at going through these rings too because I can't see them in time enough to react to them, but I feel like this is like one of those type of games that's probably more style than substance. If that makes any sense. Not dissing it, but there's little things about how this game presents itself that makes it difficult to play. Like I feel like I should see further out ahead of me than I can so I can navigate properly. It's almost like it expects you to know what the course is before you're going through it, if that makes any sense. But not knocking it. It's great. I like this game quite a bit. Oh, what is this? That's a giant gift. Okay, that's cool. So basically you have to get those balls and then deposit them into the giant sphere that's attached to a Christmas tree. And I have 14 seconds, so I probably should book it. It's probably not helping my poor score. I got another C though. See, that's the thing. It's like, do I? Because I've played this game before where I go through the course as quickly as possible, and get the spheres as quickly as possible, and then I get like D ratings. So no clue. Maybe I should just take more time in the level and get more shit. Oh, missed that. That's cool. I have no idea where this tree is. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got another C. I'll take C. I have no idea where I'm going. Where am I going? Collect the balls. I feel like that was bad. Oh no, it's a C too. See, I can't tell. But Saturn is great, honestly. This boss is pretty easy. Famous last words. That's it. I wish the boss performance helped with the score, because obviously I can kill that pretty well. But I did beat my last score, so that's good. So is it just that first level that you get on Christmas nights? I'm not even sure. I guess so. Oh shit. Okay. Okay, I guess he's a bad guy. It's good to know. So I got nothing for that? That sucks. Yeah, I guess that's just her thing is at one level. Just try the boy. I feel like this is the same level. Maybe not. I hit something. Cheesed it. I was like, I almost have all of them, so might as well just go back. I'm pretty sure this is the same level. So what's the point of going through them as the different kids? Is it just for the unlockables, I guess? No idea. It is a shame that this series didn't really do anything, because I feel like it kind of deserved to. Yeah, that terrible game on the Wii, which was just god awful. I bought that day one thinking it was going to be something special. It was not. And outside of little cameo uh, experiences, like we haven't really seen Knights do anything, which is sad. We'll have 9 million horrifically mediocre, if not bad, Sonic games, but nothing for this. I'm so I'm so tired of Sonic, man. It's sad because I used to love him so much, but he's definitely overexposed. I guess it's frustrating being a Sega fan because, like, for me, Sega is all the other stuff, and I feel like modern Sega is completely and utterly forgotten all their IPs except for Yakuza and Sonic, which is a shame because I actually feel like even more so than Nintendo, I feel like Sega has better IPs under their belt. I think that they have more of them, and I think they're better IPs just in general that you could do something with in today's age, if that makes any sense. Like I think I don't know, like I think Streets of Rage, you can do more with that world than a lot of Nintendo's IPs. But it also depends on what you do with it. Nintendo has this thing where basically they just remake the same game every generation. It seems to be a bit of a mental condition that they have. They don't like to take risks. So if you do get a new game in a series, and that's a big if because F-Zero and Wave Race and Star Fox they basically just ignore. But just look at Star Fox, right? Like the only reason why we got a new Star Fox was because they decided that they wanted to completely screw with the combat controls. And then even before that, you had the one on GameCube, which was terrible. I'm not talking about Adventures. That wasn't even a Star Fox game, but the what was it Armada or Assault? I think it was Assault. And Assault was like had that terrible like on the ground walking shooting sections. I guess you only get the first level then. Yeah, that's nuts. It's a different direction this time. I guess that's nice. Right to left. To be fair, this was free, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure this was like a thing that you got for no money. Their way of selling copies of Knights, I suppose. Oh shit. I messed it up. Still? There we go. Oh, cool. There's like a Christmas tree in there now. Did I do the thing? Oh, sweet, I did. All it took was two kids falling on their butts to bring back Christmas. Still, I'll say this about that. Like, how cool is this that Sega just made that for free? I don't know. Can you imagine anything done like that these days? They would charge for it. For God's sakes, Nintendo charges for the frickin' interactive like manual basically for the Switch 2. Um, oh, there we go. That's cool. I can't skip this. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they just have a lot more things that they could use, but they don't use them because they're scared. And I get it, they're smaller now. Hell, it's not even really the same company anymore. So anything that they make is a huge risk. But I do applaud them. I know, like right now, they're working on a new Jet Set Radio and a new Crazy Taxi. They're trying to get back into that, like Golden Axe. There's a new Golden Axe. So I'm actually really hoping that those games pay off because I want to see more of that. Like they made that new Shinobi game recently, which is great. I think if they leaned into those IPs a little bit more, they'd find some pretty big success. Because I know that like Sonic fanboys are gonna Sonic fanboy, but I think for most of us we've kind of moved on. I tried what was it here? Let me see. Here we go. I got this fairly recently, maybe like a month or so ago. It's terrible. It's just a terrible game. It suckered me in because it has like classic, 16-bit style Sonic, but just everything about this doesn't feel like it was made by someone who understands the IP at all. Like it controls like shit. The physics are really off feeling, and I don't mind if things like kind of progress with time, obviously, but it feels worse. It feels floaty and wrong, and just getting around the map just feels frustrating and aggravating. And then the bosses are very, very bad. I'm not gonna sit here for this. So there you go. I beat Christmas Nights. Let it be known. Um, I'll show you because I know you want to see Virtual Fighter, and at least I can play that. Actually, you know what? Screw that. I had more fun with Fighters Megamix, and that has Virtual Fighter in it, ish. So let's do that. Sound good? What did I say? Fighters Megamix. This is what happens when I get distracted, man. I can't fucking think anymore. Oh my god. A, B, C, D, E, F. There. I'm a graphic designer. Sue me. I don't know numbers and I don't know letters, but I make them look pretty. But yeah, once this Polymega is kind of situated, man, it's just like I don't know, for me it's perfect. I just like to have a Sega Saturn basically through HDMI and have proper controller support and proper BIOSes and everything. It's just I don't know, it's nice. If that makes any sense. And then to also have everything else that it has, I really enjoy it. I do wish I do wish that they would have Sega Master System. From what I hear, Sega Master System might be one of those that's coming. Butt shot. Butt shot. I don't know. He defeated my ultra amazing butt shot. Um, if they can have Sega Master System, honestly, dude, I would be perfectly content. Don't get me wrong. There's some Jaguar games on here, like Tempest, that I already have through the Polymega CD collection. That's great. I would like to see Jaguar, but I'm not an Atari guy. It doesn't mean I don't want to see it, because I do. It'd be really awesome to have Jaguar on here, because then I could experience it without fucking spending half a grand on a system. But at the same time, it's not a huge priority. I'd much rather have Sega Master System. And then, frankly, that's about it, because I have my Dreamcast over here. So I don't really care that this thing doesn't do Dreamcast. I have everything else I really want. Call me old school or whatever, but like I just don't see PS2, GameCube, or OG Xbox as like classic gaming. I still very much see that as new stuff. So it not being on the same machine is kind of whatever to me. I'm not looking to this box to do things like that, if that makes any sense. So, oh no, Candy got our ass whooped. I don't know. I'm happy with what this does, if that makes any sense. So it would be nice if some of the Japanese N64 games that apparently don't work too good worked. I was disappointed to see that one of those is the ones I care about, which is the Rumble Pack version of Wave Race. But like I said, if they're good about anything, it's getting things working once there's a complaint. So I did email them 2 or 3 days ago. Nice. So maybe they'll fix it. I don't know. I do wish they did better with hardware. That's basically my biggest complaint. Obviously, software. These guys are savants. They know what they're doing. The fact that they were able to get BIOSes and everything done without using proper BIOSes and having them work as well as they did shows how talented they are as software developers. And you can definitely see like the pedigree of their history show through their work. It's definitely respectable. Um, but they don't know what they're doing with hardware. And if they don't know what they're doing with hardware, they certainly don't know what they're doing when it comes to running a business. I really wish that if they spent any money, this is before fixing the controllers and everything else, I can kind of bear with that because at least we can use original controllers. Um, I really wish they just hired like an actual business person. There we go. And brought them in and kind of righted the ship because they really need to. This system should not be doing as poorly as it is. And frankly speaking, I also don't think that this system should be as expensive as it is. For the hardware inside, and the fact that your R&D is already done, I really don't understand why they're still charging as much money as they are. Then again, I also understand that they have a smaller user base, so maybe they need all the money they can get. Uh, I do want to get the light gun though, because I think House of the Dead and Time Crisis and such would be fun. And if I've learned anything about Polymega is that when things are in stock, you should probably get them. It's the reason why I got the modules when they went on sale, because not only are they in stock, but they're on sale, so it's kind of like a win-win. And people on eBay are freaking stupid, man. Like, people charge more than MSRP for used modules. In fact, the whole system goes for more than MSRP used, which I think is stupid. Even when the modules and the systems are in stock, it's like people just prey on the fact that people are too stupid, I guess, to check the website. Damn. No, my butt shot failed me. Swing and a miss. Not that time. Ah, damn it. Bam, bam. Looks like I knocked her shirt off. Oh, she has something on. Okay, never mind. Uh-oh. This is bad. There we go. I needed that match, man, because if she had won that one, that would have been it. But at least her armor's down, so she'll take more hits from the upper body. So if I can focus on the upper body. No, butt shot. Oh, I wanted to send her through the fence. It's okay. A nice swift heel to the face will do. I remember when I first saw this game and I saw because this is ironically enough the game that I was introduced to Fighting Vipers characters because I didn't realize what Fighting Vipers was until later. I remember back then thinking that these girls, Candy and the other one, they look like glorified strippers or something. I don't know. This looks really terrible. Their costumes, I have no idea what they were thinking when it came to their designs. But ironically enough, because they're so stupid, they're kind of endearing now, and they're unique. It'd be nice to see another Fighting Vipers. I know there's Fighting Vipers 2 on the Dreamcast. I think it was only released in Europe, but now it doesn't really matter. You can just put it on your Dreamcast and play. Um, I don't know. That one didn't hit well with me. Nothing bad about it. I always want to like that game more than I do, if that makes any sense. Like there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's just I like the original and I like Fighters Megamix a lot better. I just feel like there's something corny about it that the sequel didn't quite translate over, if that makes any sense. I understand no one wants to purposely make their game corny, but for me, I find it fun. You combine that with the really smooth fighting mechanics, and it's just a hoot, especially with another person. Me and an old friend of mine back in the day would play Fighting Vipers together on an actual Saturn, and it was fun. Because you would just make stupid rules for yourself, you know? So it'd be like, okay, you can only do like the butt shot and grabs. And so it would just be a mixture of people launching their asses at each other or grabbing at each other, which was fun. I'm sure people have their own experiences doing that when they're younger, making like home rules. Yeah. How did I launch her through without breaking the wall? Oh, broke it there. Okay, that was weird. Um, like I remember back in the day, first time I played Twisted Metal 2, because that game's kind of awkward for multiplayer, if that makes any sense. So, in order to make it more fun, we would just stick around inside the worlds. So there's this one level where it's like nighttime in a city, and if you go into this one building, there's like a pool, and so we would have one person in the pool, which there was a ramp to get out, and then there would be another person outside of the building, and so we would be watching on the side of the screen of the car outside the building, and then the other person would accelerate and fly out of the pool, and then we'd just laugh at the idea of watching our car fly outside the building through the view of the other one. Whatever. Now it's probably not very entertaining to do that, but it was fun back then because 3D was new. All those type of experiences were new, so it was fun. What is with Sega not being able to fucking skip shit, man? Can I not skip this, please? No? Fine. Virtua Fighter 3 team, that's cool. That's interesting because I know that they pulled a lot of stuff from Virtua Fighter 2 and put this in this game. So it's cool to think that while this game was being made, Virtua Fighter 3 was being, I guess, worked on, or at the very least, that team suspended their work and came over here. It's cool though. Oh my god, I can't go the opposite way for Z. Sweet. On to the next. What do I feel like? Let's try some Road Rash. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I never got a Sega Saturn when it was new, but because I wanted it during the holidays, the Sega Saturn is always what I think of when it comes to Christmas, which is weird because I've gotten other consoles for Christmas, but I don't associate them with Christmas. I don't know. I'm sure there's some psychological thing going on there. Anyway, so it's kind of fun playing Sega Saturn during Christmas. Oh shit, am I gonna get like copyright struck? I hope not. I mean, the sound's not very loud, so that helps. I'll just keep talking over it, I guess. La 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 la. Oh wait, do I want thrash mode or do I want? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Get ready to race. But yeah, what was your? Is there a system that's like that that makes you think of a certain holiday, either because you got it or because you wanted it? I don't know why, but like Sega consoles are just not something my parents wanted to buy me. I've talked about this multiple times, but I wanted a Genesis back in the day. So my dad got an NES for his birthday. I want to say that was 89. It's either 89 or 90. I want to say it was 89. I could be wrong. It's one of those two. Let's put it that way. This guy's just dead. Just run over him, just make sure. Double check. You too. Um, oh shit. Yeah. Um, and the NES back then was like fucking awesome, right? And I want to say it was 89. It had to have been 89 because I bought Super Mario Brothers 3. My mom got me that with me on my birthday. And I'll have to look it up because the Polymega will actually tell me. But that either came out in 90 or 91. I think it came out 90. So obviously we had the NES already. Oh, oh, that hurt. I think my forks might be damaged there by now. No? Okay, I guess not. Anyway, so I think that's the time scale things. We had neighbors. There are these kids across the street, and they had a Genesis. And I remember I went over there one time, and they had Mortal Kombat. I think it was Mortal Kombat 1. I doubt the second one had come out by that point. And I had never even seen anything like that before. I had never seen it in the arcades even. So that was the first time I saw like digitized graphics, and I don't even think like my brain understood that that was even technically achievable because I'm used to like, Mario and Duck Hunt and very simplistic. I don't know why I suck at this game tonight. Holy crap. I'm usually much better at this. This is what happens when I have the vamp and play. Not really focus on either. Anyway, and that was the first time I saw that type of stuff. And then, of course, I saw Sonic the Hedgehog on their system, and that blew me away. This made Mario look terrible. I loved Sonic's design, and I love the music, and I love the world. Like the little checkerboard pattern on everything was always cool. Oh my dear God. I am very sorry. This is embarrassing. Ah, shit. Well, good. You know what? I deserve I deserve to go to jail with that was racing. Yeah, beat him up. Anyway, oh God. Let's try a different track. Fuck it. So yeah, I always wanted a Genesis, and I remember asking for a Genesis, and then I wasn't getting one, and then I kind of gave up for on that because I realized that my parents were clearly not getting the message on that, and so I started asking for a Super Nintendo, and that didn't happen either. So years went by, okay, and the Saturn came out in '95. I obviously asked for that, didn't get it. And I kept asking for that. I was not one of those like fly by night Sega guys. I wanted to be a Sega guy so bad. And it's funny because even back then I knew that the Saturn wasn't doing well. I don't know if that was just like playground perception of who's talking about what, or if it's something I read in a magazine or whatever, but I remember knowing that if I got it, it'd be a system on life support. And I remember just not caring at all. I would look into magazines at like the checkout counter, or like when my mom was like grocery shopping, I'd look at the magazines in the magazine section. I remember seeing like Sonic R and just drooling over that game. That might be a good one to play later. It's a terrible game, but aesthetically, again, it looks great. Everything about Sega at that time just spoke to me aesthetically. It was something about their design cues just really spoke to me. I don't know, really like it. Anyway, I'm doing better this time, much better. Um, don't want to crash when the cop is here. Fuck you, cop. And yeah, I never got the Saturn. And I remember, I want to say it wasn't the first year it was out, and I don't think it was 96. So I want to say it was 90. If I had to guess, yeah, it must have been 98 or the end of 97. Because I remember one day my dad said he had a coworker um, who had a Sega Saturn for sale, and he only wanted like $35 for it. And he asked me if I wanted it, and I said yes, 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 please. And even then, even with the Saturn not doing well, I knew that 35 bucks seemed too low. And sure as shit, the next day my dad goes to work and then he comes home and he's like, "Oh, actually, oh, I saw that coming. I saw that coming. I saw that coming." And he's like, "Actually, it wasn't a Sega Saturn. It was a Sega Genesis." Now, stupid me should have just fucking taken the Sega Genesis. But I was so set on a Saturn. I got second, damn it. Just because that one crash. Anyway, I was so set on a Saturn that I just like said no, and I was really depressed. I just remember being so depressed. There's a visceral feeling in my gut that I had back in the day, whenever I thought about that system that I can't explain. It's like nervousness and lust and fear all mixed in one. Nervousness because I never thought I was going to get one, lust because I really wanted one, and fear because I knew that I was going to probably die before I got to get one. I guess is the best way to put it. Anyway, by the time that 1998, my I think it was my birthday or around there. No, it wasn't. It was fall. I think it was November. So October, November. I had because I was just tired of waiting for my parents at that point, and I was old enough that I was, saving money. And I remember I just had enough money to go and get a system, and I couldn't find a Saturn at. Oh my God. Oh, this is unfortunate. I'm stuck on the wrong side of the guardrail. There we go. Okay. Um, I remember I couldn't find a Saturn. I know that they were still for sale, but I think at that point retailers were basically just not re-upping orders. So if your store sold out, then that's kind of it. I remember they had some games, but I couldn't find a system. So I really wanted F-Zero X because my friend had that. I loved F-Zero, so I ended up getting a 64, which, to be fair, I love that system. It was fine. I didn't love it like a Saturn, to be fair. In fact, 1 year later in 1999, I ended up getting, I think it was 1999. It's either 1999 or 2000. It might have been 2000. I got a PS1, like the white one with the screen, because I really wanted rival schools amongst other Sony PS1 games like CTR and Twisted Metal 2 and things like that. And I remember that feeling like that filled a lot of the void that I was looking from that generation. Because you gotta remember, like, everyone loves the 64 now, and it's like rose tinted glasses. But back then, man, like that system was like flatlining. And it felt like for every 15 releases on PlayStation, there was maybe one on the 64. And it was just like months and months would go by of just drought. You would either get like horrific shovelware crap or nothing. And for a lot of people, including myself, you're basically just waiting from one Nintendo release to another. And then towards the end, you were getting like really weird Nintendo releases that you didn't exactly know how you felt about. I remember when Chibi Robo came out, trying to convince myself that I wanted that game on the GameCube, for example. I know I'm skipping systems, but I'm just trying to, like, that era of Nintendo was not good. Like 64 and GameCube was just not good at all. Like you would have something come out like that, or what was the other game that Custom Robo. I remember when Custom Robo came out, and trying to convince myself I wanted that, but I just didn't. And if you didn't get those games, then it just meant like you'd had to wait another few months. I don't know what I'm doing. Holy crap. You had to wait another few months before there was potentially something else you were interested in. So PlayStation filled that gap for me personally. And then it wasn't until a little later I ended up getting a Sega Saturn used. And as soon as I got that, man, I was fucking right there. Are you kidding me? Nice. Um, I just went hog wild on that thing, man. I found like dev hardware. I had like multiple systems, some from Japan. I had like the Hitachi system. I had the Hitachi navigation system. I had a bunch of boxed American and Japanese games. It was basically like all that like pent up Sega lust came out, and I just bought everything I could see. I stupidly sold it after a while because I had assumed that Sega Saturn would always be unpopular, which it's not. And I had a lot of rare games, dude. But um, when you're in your early 20s and you're trying to make it in the world, that just looks like a pile of cash that can be put towards adulting things like home and car. So that was my little adventure. So I had an NES all the way through till 1990. Oh my God, I fell in the ocean. Did I just die? Okay, I guess so. That's interesting. Anyway, try that again. So yeah, I had an NES as my primary console all the way till 1996. That was the year that my dad got me a Super Nintendo instead of a 64, which hurt. That sucked. That really sucked. I've never not wanted a console so much in my life. It's sad because like modern me recognizes how good the SNES is, and I've grown to appreciate it. But for the longest time, dude, I hated that console. It's been a minute since I played this. Anyway, but yeah, it's just I wish I could have lived that era a little older, maybe like 10 years older, because I feel like then I would have had money and more independence, and I could have gotten to enjoy a lot more of this stuff in real time and not just at friends' houses or in kiosks. Oh my dear God. Because that's actually how I learned about a lot of this stuff was just by going to friends' houses and playing whatever they had. I feel like a lot of people in my neck of the woods went through shit like that. I don't know if like money was tight back then or whatever for a lot of people, but I had a friend in Ohio who was kind of in a similar boat, and we were basically always like a generation behind. And I remember his dad brought home an original Xbox, and that was like when it was brand new. This is right before I went to college. And I think me and him were shocked about that because that was not something that was like an MO for that family. So it was weird. I also think part of it too, and this probably is the reason why they never bought anything. Oh my dear God, dude. They probably never bought anything for me from Sega. Oh my, come on, stop hitting me. Get your bike, get your bike, get your bike. Is I think my parents were like really scared about video games in general and just like I think they saw my fascination with them as a deterrent. And frankly, that was because of just a lack of education on their part. They didn't really want to get to know the hobby, and I think they just saw it as something weird and new, and they were afraid that it was going to be dangerous. You know, my mom was the type of person who would very much believe the news. This is terrible. Sorry. She would very much believe the news. So like whenever there'd be like news reports about how, like, oh, this game like Doom is gonna make you like shoot up a fucking school or something, like she thought that that was real. To such an extent, I remember when I had my 64 one day, I bought a copy of Forsaken 64, which, familiar with that game, it's like a Descent clone, for lack of a better description. It's like a 360-degree ship shooter within a confined building. So you go like up and down, left and right. So, you know, anyway, hopefully you know what Descent is anyway. But I remember I bought that used for $5 at an EB Games. And she noticed it one day. This was like many, 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 many days later that I had it. And I'd obviously played it at my friend's house, before many times. There's nothing about it that's like gonna warp anyone's mind, dude. The worst thing that happens is that when you die, the ship blows up. And I think the body splits apart in pieces. But dude, it's 64 graphics, like there's a block for a head, a block for an arm, a block for another arm, a block for a torso, and a block for each leg, and that's it. And then it splits. And for whatever reason, um, the ESRB, and I still to this day I have no idea as to why, the ESRB decided to go ahead and rate that game as mature. And because my mother had probably seen something about the dangers of mature rated games and probably something about Mortal Kombat this, Mortal Kombat that, when she saw that, she threw it away. She thought it was gonna like do something to me, I guess. It's okay. I went in the trash and picked it out and then put it back in my collection, and she never realized that I played it literally, because this tells you like how little she knew anything. I played it like literally right in front of her, and she had no idea. Like I'd play the soundtrack really loud because I love the soundtrack in that game. She had no clue. She was none the wiser. What I did, so you can understand how I went around this back then. I thought this was pretty ingenious of me. I took the cap of a pen and I melted it with a lighter that I found in my dad's garage. And then I pressed it against the security screw on the back of the cart and then let that cool. And then I had a makeshift security driver. So what I did to get around it was that I took some other game, and I can't remember what the fuck the game was for the life of me, but it was something innocuous. I think it was Top Gear Rally, actually, now that I think about it. And I put that chip in that shell. And the reason why I did that wasn't because she was rummaging through my game collection, but if it was in the 64, obviously the label is like visible, and I was scared that if she saw that M, she'd realize that I fished it out of the trash. I mean, maybe she'd even recognize the artwork. I don't know. So I just swapped the shells because I never played that game anymore. So that was my way of getting around that. I thought that was pretty ingenious. My friend Brian, when I was growing up, his parents are like the complete opposite. Like they bought him like every system, every game that he could possibly want. They endorsed him playing. So a lot of my memories and a lot of the games that I learned about was through him. Like I learned about Mega Man through him. Um, the only time I ever played like a Sega CD or 32X back in that era was because he had one. So yeah, it would have been cool to just have my own money and been able to do my own thing, that's for sure. Because I would have really, really enjoyed the Saturn during its heyday. because I still love these games. I may not be good at them, but I love them dearly. I think anyone who is like honest with themselves could look at all the games that I've been playing so far tonight and realize that there's nothing mature about them. But like I said, Sega was considered the older gamers machine. So I think my parents didn't like the idea of me having anything outside of Nintendo because that's where the scary games were, like Mortal Kombat, which ironically enough was on Nintendo, but I don't think they knew that because they didn't know any better. And since we're going down memory lane, something a little bit more positive. Oh no. I remember, so my dad, the only game that he would play with me on the 64 was Madden. So we had Madden, I believe it was Madden 2000. It's either 2000 or 2001. I can't remember right now. There we go. And he held that controller like a gorilla holding onto a banana. Like that was like a death grip, dude. And he would press down on the joystick instead of just moving it around like, a civilized human being. I think it's because he was used to like Atari or arcades or whatever, so he would just thrash the fuck out of that. I finished this today, so this is probably just because I'm just talking. Anyway, I got fifth place last time. Game over, yeah. Anyway, so he messed up the joystick really bad. I remember one day, for whatever reason, just holding his controller. I think I was putting it away, and I moved the joystick, and it felt like moving the joystick on gravel. It's the best way I can describe it. It just felt like rocks. And so I called it Nintendo, and I was like, "Hey, I don't understand what's going on. It's all chalky and weird, and it feels like rocks when I move the joystick around, and it's not like centering." And you have to understand, like, I bought the system and the controller with my own money, so I was actually really upset at him. I never told him this, but I was really upset at him for destroying my property. So I called Nintendo, and they're like, "Well, it's obviously out of warranty, so we don't have to do anything for you." And yes, keep in mind, I didn't know anything about like, um, am I sure? Yes, I didn't know anything about like the fact that those joysticks were shit and that there was a huge problem with them with Mario Party. I didn't know any of that. That wasn't common knowledge back in the day. This is like pre-internet. And so they're like, well, I'll tell you what, even though it's out of warranty, we're going to send you a new joystick. And they actually sent me like the joystick module, like, that little gray box. I have a spare around here somewhere. But they sent that to me. And it came in like this generic looking box, but that was labeled Nintendo. Oh my god, I forgot how bad this is. Holy shit. Oh dear god. Okay. Really had to concentrate on that. Anyway, oh, that's interesting. It's trying to do that transparency effect there, but it just looks like a grid. It's funny. Um, That's so gross looking. Definitely a graphic effect that was relying on the CRT technology to hide. But yeah, that's the first time I ever had to like open up anything for hardware. So that started me modifying my stuff and getting comfortable with it. I remember being so scared about like taking out that ribbon cable and because I remember the buttons dumped out when I opened up the shell, and I was so scared I wasn't ever going to be able to get the buttons back on and the membranes back on. I was honestly freaking out. I was sweating like you would never believe. Boy, this controls like dog shit. Having to get used to how this performs. It actually, like, the frames per second is worse because there's other cars on the track now, so it doesn't feel as smooth as the qualifying. Oh shit. I saw that coming a mile away. That was bad. I remember this being bad back in the day. It's just, I don't know. I've always wanted this to be good. I come back to this game every once in a while. It's because aesthetically, again, I think it looks cool. But yeah, that was back when Nintendo was really cool. Now they wouldn't help you worth the shit. They would just charge you to repair it.